So here we are, Wednesday morning, alive 107.3. This is Made in the Morning, and here we are just days into 2022, and we are already getting set for another amazing year of Impact Wrestling. And it all kicks off this Saturday, January the 8th, exclusively live on Fight TV. It's Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill, an action-packed and stacked card where the world title will be defended in a triple threat match between Morrissey, Matt Cardona, and the Impact champion Moose. Also, the Knockouts title will be defended as Mickie James takes on Deonna Purrazzo, and I think the match of the night will see Jonah take on the 2021 Impact Wrestling Wrestler of the Year, the walking weapon, Josh Alexander, who I'm delighted to say joins me now. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Lee. How are you?
I'm grand, mate. I'm grand. Thank you so much for taking the time. Obviously, here we are, the start of 2022. How was your new year? How was your festive period?
It was good, as typical as it usually is, but this time, it was that much sweeter, winning Impact Wrestling Match of the Year and Impact Wrestler of the Year from 2021. So just gave me a little bit of pressure for 2022 to, try to raise the bar and do a little bit better.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, how does it actually feel when you see these shortlists and then these actual awards announced on social and everything else? Because obviously, if we look back at that match of the year, yourself against TJP 60-minute Ironman match, it was, I would say, not just the match of last year. I would say it's probably one of the matches, let's be honest, of this century from 2000 right the way through. I mean, did you know at the time that match, as it was evolving, was something special, or was it only when you got back to and the other guys were telling you that was amazing?
Well, it was interesting because, I knew when they asked me about the Ironman, they said, "Oh, we want to do this. What do you think?" I just had a grin from ear to ear because I knew that was an opportunity for myself to showcase something completely different. Like a 60-minute Iron match does not happen on television all too often. So I knew it was going to be something special right there if we, went out there and delivered. And I knew that myself and TJP had enough chemistry. We could go out there and over deliver. And I think we did. But the thing was, that was filmed during the pandemic with no crowd. So you never had that immediate reaction from fans to gauge how good it might have been. I knew when we came to the back and it was all said and done, I knew I was physically, mentally, emotionally just drained. I put everything I had into that match. And, you just didn't know how it turned out. I knew that it felt good, but what do I know in the moment, right? People have been, saying it was good. We came to the back and half the roster was there clapping at the monitor for what we did, which was the first time that's ever happened in my career. So, if that was a gauge right there, that let me know. But once it aired, I was just so happy that, they gave it away for free on YouTube after the fact, the full complete one after it aired. And, it got a lot of fanfare and it got a lot of recognition because there was a lot that went into that match physically, mentally, and emotionally, like I said. And I'm glad it's all paid off.
When did you see the match for the first time? Did you see it before it aired on BTI, or was that experience when we all got to see it as fans on BTI the first time you got to see it as well?
I watched it on BTI and the crossover and the Impact with everybody else, and I was on my phone texting management at Impact Wrestling being like, you better give this full version away because there's so much missed with that one because of the commercial breaks that it just had. I was a little pissed off, to be honest. So yeah.
I have to say, just obviously we're doing this on Zoom just now, and it's great because you can see the passion and enthusiasm and pride coming over in your faces. We're actually talking about this match, and I would encourage anyone, if they haven't seen this match that we are talking about, we're going to put the link to it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Made in the Morning. You need to make sure you watch this because it's one of these matches that every now and again you come across as a wrestling fan, and you show it to your friends who used to be wrestling fans and have moved on, and for one reason or another, sometimes life gets in the way. You say you need to watch this, and this is the match that I have shown to so many of my friends since it aired, and it's introduced them to not just yourself, Josh, but to the whole of Impact Wrestling and everything that's been going on there over the past 18 to 24 months. And I know the Good Brothers say this quite often. They say, if you're sleeping on it, but you can't be sleeping on Impact Wrestling, everything that goes on just now. How have you felt the last, well, I was going to say, since you arrived into Impact Wrestling, things have just gone through the roof. I remember watching that moment when Scott D'Amore came out and offered you that Impact Wrestling contract, and you signed it there in the middle of the ring. I think was it a PCW show or something like that?
It was Destiny Wrestling in Toronto. Destiny. Yeah.
So again, did you think at that point when you were signing that Impact Wrestling contract here, and fast forward into 2020, how your life would have changed?
No, absolutely not. I was signing that contract with the most pessimistic idea of what I might be doing in Impact Wrestling, because as a professional wrestler, I signed that contract 14 years into my career. I had so many ups and downs to that point, so many roadblocks that I had to overcome, from a neck injury to the border banning me and all this other stuff. That wrestling breaks your heart at every turn. So I had learned to just expect nothing, expect the absolute worst, and then be pleasantly surprised by whatever you're gifted afterwards. And so at the moment I was signing it, I was just like, well, at the very least I'll have a visa to do independence in America. But then from the moment I've shown up in Impact Wrestling, all they've done is just lob me up opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And I honestly, you can use the baseball analogy, where I just try to hit home runs every single time, and I haven't not connected with the ball yet, or whatever analogy you care to use. But all I can ever ask for is an opportunity, because then it's on me to make the best of it. Impact Wrestling has just given me plenty of them, so I'm very happy, and my life has benefited greatly from it. So
the next opportunity you have to perform in front of a sold-out pay-per-view crowd is this Saturday night at Hard to Kill. And your opponent, many people are saying this is going to be the toughest opponent, the toughest test for the Walking Weapon since you arrived in Impact Wrestling. Obviously, we're talking about Jonah, the 6 foot, 330 pounder from South Australia. He made a beeline for you at Turning Point, left you battered, bruised, bloody. How do you prepare for someone as physical as Jonah?
Physical preparation and all that stuff aside, I prepare for every single match the exact same way. I'm preparing for everything and the absolute worst at all times, so that never changes. But the mental preparation changed a little bit. Jonah is one of the rarest physical specimens in professional wrestling, in the sense that he is a throwback to the age of the Vaders and the Bam Bam Bigelows, and that he's a super heavyweight, this giant 330-pound man that can move just as fast as some of the X Division stars. So, I think that both our styles are going to complement each other and contrast properly. And I think it's a recipe for one of the best matches you're going to see in a long time. And I'm just really looking forward to it, because as you said, it's going to be the biggest test I've had to date in a singles capacity, if you're overlooking Christian Cage, I suppose. But it's my one way to get back at Moose. So if this is the roadblock in the way, then that's all the motivation I need.
You said there, physically you prepare for every match the same, but again, knowing how he did leave you at Turning Point, that has to weigh on your mind as to the effects that had after. You were injured, you were hurt. Can you take another beating? Like, I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm just obviously asking the question. We saw obviously at Bound for Glory, you were in the ring, you were celebrating with your family, which was great, but you're very much a family man now. The past 3-4 months have completely changed your life. You're a full-time professional wrestler now. This is your livelihood. What happens if Jonah gets another jump on you and hurts you in a way that you could be out for some time? That has to be on your mind heading into this.
Honestly, it isn't. He bruised my ribs. I coughed up blood. I did all that, but I have overcome and come back from 2 neck surgeries, and I have not looked back in the 7 years since I had those surgeries. And I have learned since that day, when I came back from my neck, I lived with some hesitancy. I competed with that in the back of my mind, and it did me nothing but a disservice. So heading into every match with whatever injury, I know that I can't think about that. I need to just kind of be myself and understand that, I'm going to rise to the occasion regardless, because whether I'm tough, dumb, or stupid, I don't know how you'd like to, you know, describe me. That's how I am in the ring. I'm the same guy every time, whether something hurts, whether I can't use one of my limbs, I'm always going to keep pushing forward. And, I have things like my family, my wife, and my two sons in the back of my mind at all times, knowing that I'm out there trying to make them proud. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I get that world championship back. And the only way I can do that is if I get through Jonah. So, as I said, it's all the motivation I need, regardless of whatever pain I feel. I think the shame of it's going to be, the thing that would be far worse than any of the pain.
You mentioned a couple of times already the world title or title that was stolen from you. Let's be honest. There's no other way to describe it. An amazing match you had with Christian Cage, and again, a superb technical match. If we can think back to that for a second, was there extra pressure on you as you felt because you were an Impact Wrestling superstar looking to bring that world title back to Impact, which for much of last year, that title actually being held by performers not contracted to that organization, obviously in Kenny Omega and Christian Cage?
Yeah, I felt a ton of pressure. I have told Impact Wrestling before that and now since. I was just like, slap an Impact Wrestling bumper sticker on me and ship me around the world and let me represent this company, because with what I do in the ring, I think we can draw a lot of fans and eyes into this company. And like all that pressure in the same instance in that match was put on me because, as you said, Christian Cage, AEW superstar, legend from Impact Wrestling and other companies throughout the world. Everybody's looking at him being like, I know who that guy is. And some people might tune into the pay-per-view and not know who I am. So I had that pressure of, yes, I have to introduce everybody to me, but I have to introduce everybody to me and completely, exceed everybody's expectations so that Impact Wrestling is showcased as well. And I do this company justice because they have given me nothing but opportunities and I owe them, I think. So, that was all the pressure on me. But I've said it many times, like, I'm a guy that I like my back being pushed against the wall. I like being put in that pressure and having to, rise to the occasion. And I think I did just that at Bound for Glory until, as you said, Moose came in and ruined the day. But, that happens in pro wrestling.
What was it actually like? Obviously, two amazing Canadians going for that world title. What is it about Canada that produces so many amazing professional wrestlers?
I think it's because it's so hard to get noticed in Canada. So if you're a professional wrestler in Canada, say, I don't care how many thousands we might have had over the past 20 years, only a handful of them get jobs. You went through, the whole dungeon era of the Bretts and the Owens and the Davey Boys and all that. But then the next crop was 10, 20 years later, almost, the Christians, the Edges. And then 10, 20 years later, almost, you have the Kevin Steens and the Sami Zayns. And then another 10 years later, you have the Ethan Pages and the Josh Alexanders. I think it takes time to get noticed. I think that there's so many of us that are hungry up here and there's so much experience, but for you to really break out and get that notoriety on the world stage, you got to be one of the best. And I think that's why all these Canadians are revered that way.
We are talking with Josh Alexander, the walking weapon. He is heading to Hard to Kill this Saturday night into Sunday morning. It is Impact Wrestling's first pay-per-view event of the year. You can watch it exclusively live on Fight TV, and we are continuing the conversation after this. It is Made in the Morning here on Live 107.3. Lee, very excited this Wednesday morning to be speaking to Impact Wrestling superstar, Triple Crown winner, the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. Josh, are you still with us, my friend?
Yes, sir.
That is good. Always means I didn't press any of those buttons incorrectly during that song. We were talking about the past 18 months, past 24 months in Impact Wrestling. It's been absolutely phenomenal. It's seen you really rise to the top of the organization, and in that time you've done it all. You've been a tag team champion, you've been an X division, obviously a world champion for a biscuit. We'll talk about that in a second. But one of the the most exciting things for me as an Impact Wrestling fan was the fact that to get your shot at Christian Cage, option C came into play, which if an Impact Wrestling fan like myself, option C is two magical words. Obviously, you gave up the X Division Championship for a shot at the world title. When did you know you were going to choose option C?
Well, from a perspective of, I believe, I can't remember the name of the show, but I wrestled Chris Sabin. We had a stellar X Division match where I successfully defended my X Division championship, and he kind of mentioned option C to me. And looking at it from that, like, I don't know what it is, but I'm never really focused on anything but what's in front of me in the moment. So it would have never really crossed my mind unless somebody else had mentioned it to me. Not that I didn't think I could compete or be a world champion or face Christian Cage, but the allure of main eventing Bound for Glory against someone like Christian Cage added an opportunity for that world championship for the very first time was certainly something I didn't want to pass up, because as I said, I enjoy pressure, and I don't think there's any higher pressure situation than that.
It was a great moment as an Impact Wrestling fan to watch that and just see that face off when you announced option C. It was truly magical. And again, you can go back and see that on Impact Plus, which I would encourage you to do. And one of the great things about Impact Plus, Josh, is it has got that entire catalogue of walk and weapon matches from Impact Wrestling. If we take out the Bound for Glory match and the 60-minute Iron Man match, and somebody's coming into Impact Wrestling, what would you say is the match that they should go back and watch on Impact Plus involving yourself to really get a sense of what Impact Wrestling is all about?
The easiest answer I could ever have for a question is myself and Jake Something from Emergence from last summer in 2021. Jake is a phenomenal talent. I think he's somebody that's been overlooked a lot. And I think he has a chip on his shoulder because of that. And I certainly is something I can sympathize with. So I knew stepping into that match, defending my X Division championship as an X Division champion, that so many fans who had never watched me wrestle were complaining that I was too big to be an X Division star or not an X Division style. And, that was just something that, motivated me even more. And Jake Something got the same criticisms, and I know it motivated him in that match. I think it's one of the more overlooked matches that I've ever had in my entire career. And, it's doing a disservice to somebody like Jake Something that it doesn't get enough notoriety.
If we can, just very, very briefly, because I know time is against us, talk about the Impact World title match that's taken place at Hard to Kill. It is a triple threat. It's Moose, it's Morrissey, it's Matt Cardona. I have in my mind the person that I think is going to win this match, and as much as I hate to see it, love him or hate him, I think it has to be Moose. I think he's going in there, and I think he's going to walk out with that title. It'll be very, very close, but I think he's going to do it. Are you going to then be going and knocking straight on that door of Scott D'Amore and saying, right, come on, now is the time. You'll defeat Jonah, in my eyes, on Saturday night at Hard to Kill. You haven't had your rematch yet. How do you deal with Scott to make sure that you are next in line for that shot at the Impact title?
I mean, it's an interesting question because Scott seems to think that I'm too angry to challenge. I need to get my emotions under control, but I can certainly disagree with him at every turn on that one, because my emotions and the way, how intense I am in the ring is something that, has done me nothing but benefits my entire, run in Impact Wrestling. So to try to change that now, I think it's just a recipe for disaster rather than success. But yes, barring all those what ifs, come out of Hard to Kill and I have defeated Jonah and Moose has retained that world championship, I'm going to be knocking down or kicking down Scott's door, demanding that match, because I think it's been long enough. I think that, we've avoided it for far too long, and, just leave it up to me. If I'm too emotional, stop worrying about me. Let me handle this and learn my lesson on my own, because, I don't think Moose is going to be Impact World Champion forever, and I want to be the one that takes it away from him if it ever does happen. I don't want it to be somebody else.
Absolutely superb. Right, final question, Josh. If it's all right, we like to do this with all the Impact Wrestling superstars we get to talk to here on Made in the Morning. Would you be up for a little quick fire round of the name game? I'm going to give you 5 names of Impact Wrestling superstars, and I want to know the first thing that jumps into your head. Are you up for this?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. First up, the Good Brothers.
Fun.
Rachel Ellering.
Underrated.
Christian Cage.
Legend.
Aisha Edwards.
Ooh, I was gonna say locker room leader.
Good call. And finally, Josh Matthews.
Grumpy.
we've never heard that one before, but I can believe it. I can believe it. I'm just going to say right now on the radio, I'm still waiting for my telephone call from Josh Matthews because I bought one of his micro brawlers. He's 300 micro brawlers last week. Still waiting for the phone call. Josh, thank you so much, my friend. I've absolutely loved having the chat with you, and we of course are backing you to beat the big man Jonah this Saturday night at Hard to Kill. If people want to find out more about how to get the event, it's fight.tv. And of course, you can go back and view all of Josh's classic matches, including that match with Jake Something from last year, and of course, the 60-minute Iron Man match on the Impact Plus app. Josh, good luck, my friend, and thank you for joining us.